agenda is approval of the agenda. And I believe there's some, I know Commissioner Nash would like to make a modification to it. It can't be more than a minute or two away.
Right there he is. Fucking, I texted it to you too.
Do you have an agenda, Keith?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to say, under new business, discussion and possible action on surplus property.
I'll second that.
Add that at the end of the business.
Yes, sir, please.
Got an amendment to the agenda to add the discussion of surplus property. Is there a second? Second by Giannakis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other amendments to the agenda? All those in favor of the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have an agenda. We're now at the public comment period of this. Mr. Law, would you?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lovett.
Yes, sir.
You want me to stand here or in there?
You're anywhere you want to
All
stand.
right, so I just wanted to take a minute. Thank you for allowing me to speak for a second. I know that y'all were going to be discussing some of the armory tonight and some of the acquisition and some of the different things there. On behalf of the Fire Association, I just wanted to at least give you a little insight into how we use the current EOC and why a little bit more space would be really beneficial for us. We use that regularly. We hold annual EMR classes. This past EMR class had 24 people signed up. We had to cap it at that. Different reasons, but one being space. And then we also have all our EMR training props and everything at the EOC, which some of them right now are sitting outside of the storage room just because we're having a hard time fitting everything in that storage room. We use it for annual firefighter training. That's for all our new rookies that come on. They have to go through 64 hours of training. We built a vent prop that we were using to talk about safety on ventilating roofs. We had it there at the EOC. And just with some of the space constraints, we ended up having to move that. So I know we were kind of in the sheriff's way with some of the cars and stuff he had to bring in. So just kind of figuring out where we can put everything has been a little bit of a challenge with trying to host this. We have about 130 volunteers between the 5 different fire departments in the county. We don't really have a central training hub that we can use other than the EOC, so that kind of becomes our main classroom and training space for that. So we've been doing rope rescue classes. We'll do a lot of the stuff there, and then we'll use like Camp Maribor or somewhere to do some of the rappelling. We've done hazmat classes. We do that almost every year. So just from the fire perspective, that training grounds and a little bit of room to be able to host all the volunteers and people that are training would be helpful. The other thing that the training really plays into is the ISO rating. So as we're discussing the fire service, the ISO rating is an insurance rating. The lower we can get that, the more it's going to be beneficial for people's insurance rates. Specifically when we start talking commercial, but it does help residential rates as well. And there's a study that kind of shows some of those savings through that. One whole section of that is training grounds, and that's training grounds that no one in the county has right now. So 2 acres of training grounds with certain amenities, classrooms, training props, and some of those type of things are something that we have to have access to. So having one central in the county would benefit all 5 departments and help increase that ISO rating for everyone. We don't have to each have our own individual. We have to have access to it. It has to be local, somewhere where we can train on it. So that's something else, that having some space to spread out, a bigger classroom, places to put some of these props, store equipment, and that kind of thing. So when we've discussed some of the possibilities of the armory and some of the space that it provides, it seems to have a lot of the amenities that we would want for the training side of things. So I know there's a lot of other tentacles to that conversation too that I can't necessarily speak to, but from the fire association's perspective, for the training, that would be really beneficial for us moving forward. Any questions? All right, thank y'all.
Bill Phillips.
Good evening. I'm the post commander for American Legion Post 36 here in Centerville. I also have a background in firefighting. I was in the EMR class that they just had, and that sometimes during the class there weren't enough spots at desks. People just had to sit in the back. And when you think about the Armory as a community, you need to think about some of the past history in this county and building resiliency for the community. My background, I've been to some of the biggest disasters in this century in the United States. I responded to Katrina, I responded to Sandy, I responded to 9/11. And the thing that you find common in all of those disasters is whether or not the community has had the foresight to plan in advance to be ready for that type of disaster. I know you had some floods here back in 2010 coming from Bon Aqua over the bridge. I could see how flooded out the Duck River was. If we'd gotten a couple more days of rain here, you might have had a situation where sections of the community would have been cut off. While the Fire Association has their need, Pete Tibbs has his. And that's to build not just with the Fire Association, but with the EMS, the Sheriff's Office, and the veterans. Because American Legion Post 36 works hand in hand with the EMA to help build resiliency in this community. During the recent rainstorm last week, the high water vehicle was put into operation. Well, the members from Post 36 were instrumental in making sure that vehicle was ready to go when the bell rang for the emergency. We work hand in hand with EMA. Post 36 welcomes the opportunity to continue to do that. And I think the veterans understand that we need to build the resiliency within the community. I know your decision's a tough one. You're trying to decide, does this group or does that group? But really, if you think about what may happen, we could have another pandemic, you could have another flood, you could have wildland fires. When I responded to Katrina, FDNY spent 6 weeks down there, 2 weeks of 200 plus individuals going down to Katrina just to get them where they were beyond first responder status, where they could start rebuilding. So it takes a lot of forethought and foresight to see what may happen in your community. And your job is to make sure that the community is prepared. American Legion Post 36 members are working hard with the EMA. We've been told by the EMA that they have a spot for the veterans there, and we welcome the support that you can give both the veterans and to the EMA. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is adoption of the minutes from the March 3rd meeting. Motion by Barnhill, seconded by Pickard to adopt the minutes. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're at the monthly reports. Alan?
EMS ran a total of 269 calls in the month of February. 157 of those were billable. Our collections were $87,576.70. Our charges were $157,835. And those are the numbers. In addition, there are 2 more pages behind there that explain those a little more in depth. Have your approval on those numbers, we'd appreciate it.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jordan, seconded by Mayberry. That'll be a roll call, Bill.
Paul Calcott,
Yes.
Molly McNair,
Yes.
Todd Collins.
Yes.
Danny Clark,
Yes.
Michael Wayne Thomason.
Yes.
Matthew Barnhill.
Yes.
Keith Nash, Steve Janakis.
Yes.
Dusty Jordan,
Yes.
Ron Mayberry.
Yes.
Devin Pickard.
Yes.
Ron Puckett.
Yes.
Clay Chester.
Yes.
Ricky Murray.
Yes.
13 yes, 1 absent.
Also, we are changing our billing company. The mayor sent a letter to our billing company stating we will not renew our contract, and that contract is due 7/1. In your packet that I sent you, there was a copy of the contract with the MSMC, a billing company that several counties surrounding us have gone to, and they're seeing increased collections. We'll need this contract executed on 7/1. Also, in that packet, there was agreement with AWA, and we're negotiating with them at this time to be our collection agency. This is a company in Dixon, and Dixon County EMS uses them for their collections. And we're just starting negotiations with them. I'll need the mayor to go with me to make the negotiations because I can't sign a contract. And so we will, this will need to be in place by 7/1, so we've got some time to negotiate with them. We'll need approval from this body to proceed.
Yes.
I make a motion that we proceed.
Second.
Motion by Thomason, seconded by Callicutt. Voice vote, be okay on this one. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We're still in the process of trying to figure out what we're going to do about our cardiac monitors and our CPR devices. We've had 3 CPR devices that have failed in the last 30 days on patients that we were trying to resuscitate. Normally we deploy these devices approximately 5 times a month. And we've had three failures in the last 30 days. And it's just an indication that our monitors and our CPR devices are at the end of their service life, and we need to step up, plan on what we need to do there. And that's my report. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Livengood? Would you like to go now, Pete?
I turned in the packet that I turned in, had our monthly report with it. Just real quick to start out, that last month was pretty busy for us. We have 5 activations for the EOC. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better this month. We're with FEMA today, and FEMA's coming down tomorrow. We've had 6 homes and 1 church in our county that received some damage to this last weekend storm. 4 have already been, they've met the threshold, so now FEMA's gonna come down and begin their work with that. As of right now, we've got 13 roads in our county that I know of. I've not been able to vet with Ronald Coach yet exactly how many roads he has, but that was just in our last storm. Everything else is in the packet. I would like to speak on the tower site that was in the packet there, the 9 Mile Ridge tower.
Well, it has a spot under new business on the agenda.
So you want me to hold there?
But is it very long?
This one's quick.
Okay.
If you can remember the body we brought before you, the Highway 7 proposal for the property, what we're needing is on the 9 Mile Ridge, we just need to move the name, ownership name on the 9 Mile Ridge. Instead of it saying Hickman County, it needs to be moved to 911 board ownership. We can discuss further later if you need to.
We'll take that up where it's on the agenda. You get into it a little deeper there. Anybody got any questions for Pete on what he reported on? You You ready, Matt?
Most of mine was in my report. Of course, should not have said anything about the lift station at the jail working properly at the time of writing this yesterday. Got called back out late last night. It's giving trouble again. Of course, just the towels and things that keep getting flushed. And that keeps blowing lines apart now. Besides what's in my report, finance director wanted me to bring it to y'all that next, in y'all's budget meeting, we'll be asking for a budget amendment to move money to purchase a tractor. She wanted me to bring that up to y'all if y'all wanted to approve that, to move forward at this meeting as well, to go to budget committee for an amendment. It would be very beneficial on just, not just, bush hogging or whatever, some of the small areas, but just material handling. It's got a front end loader on it, it can help us move stuff that we've had to have Prince Hardware bring their forklift down. Gary Blocker's moved some stuff with his lift for us several times. And we've got several areas that are, gravel driveways that are in need of, dragging out with box blade, things like that. It could help us in a lot of different ways. It's $21,500. It's a 2024 model. It's only got 78.6 hours on it for
Horsepower.
25.
What horsepower?
25, four-wheel drive.
Is that it?
That's what I know.
Does anybody have any questions for the maintenance director? Trying to figure out who ought to go next. I guess it's you, Jason.
What little bit we had is, should be in the packets. TCI's, they're still doing their study. I talked to him today for a few minutes, he should have that done next couple of weeks. And then he said after he gets done with his, CTAS will be doing a study as well, on our jail situation. We were up a little bit this month. I think we had a little over 1,450 cap cards. So we jumped up a little bit from last month. And the bearer of bad news, I know y'all like hearing that, is, well, I guess get the positive side first. The last 3 months, money that we brought into 101 was $73,484. That's for January, February, and March. And that's gone into the general fund. I don't know how much the year to date, I don't have that number. The bad side of this is about $286,000 that will probably be needed to finish out the rest of the year through inmate medical and food. We do have some money to be coming back from insurance payments, but that'll probably be July before we get that at least. And we're working with the county attorney on one of our bills, which is a pretty good sized bill as well, but the person that has that bill has the means to pay for it. So we're looking at the county attorney, he's already been contacted about us proceeding with legal action to get her to pay for the bills that she's accumulated, which I think is probably over or right at $50,000 itself. So just to give y'all a heads up on that. So.
Is that 50 part of the 286?
No. I'm sorry, yes, that is part of our whole deal, it's with recoup some of that too.
The 73,000, is that to be used to pay on the 286, or you need 286 on top of the 73,000 that you mentioned?
No, this is total with food and everything was 286. The, that 74,000, that's just in the last 3 months what we've put back into the general fund. So in order to be average, pretty much because of that, everybody every 3 months, about replacement will run 70,000,
Is that it? Yes, ma'am.
The question, when an inmate flushes a towel or the clothing down to the commode, do they get replaced?
So, what happens in a lot of these cases is, they'll get a towel or something from someone else, because they don't want to use theirs. We've changed our policy on what items they get now. So to get a towel, you have to turn a towel in to try to cut down some of the situations we've had with this. I know it's been a pain 100% trying to get this stopped. Like I said, I didn't hear about the last one, that's the first I've heard about that, so, but we're still continuing to address that as much as possible. I know one thing that happened, because we've had so much problems with, was it 3 55-gallon trash bags, commissary trash, 2 or 3, that we pulled out, so, we just cut out commissary for a month, and, so, we do what we can to combat it as much as we can. Unfortunately, we're dealing with, they do make grinders that you put in, will grind up a towel before it gets there and causes problems, but those are pretty expensive and that as well, so.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Nash?
Sheriff, so you anticipate that at some point in time in the next little bit, that we're gonna see a $280,000 budget amendment to fund food and other expenses associated with the inmates?
Yes, food and medical to get us to the rescue.
Do you think that, is that consistent with where we are year to date, or you think that that's gonna be the 280 that will finish out the year?
Done finished the year. Yeah, we've already talked to Crystal about it, and kind of estimated our cost and where we're at now. That should finish out food, medical, everything until after July.
When do you anticipate that being in front of the budget committee?
You'll probably see it Monday.
So you're anticipating that being in front of the budget committee next Monday?
Yes.
When you look at is this because the inmate population has increased? Or, I mean, and I'm trying to put you on the spot, I'm not. But is this due to the fact that we've got more people incarcerated? Or is it just because the general expenses to the people that we have has gone up?
I think you're looking at both. We look at different scenarios and get people out if we have those problems. We work with the judges and DAs a lot. It's long-term medical expenses. We try to get them furloughed if we can, or put on a medical furlough. We do that as quickly as possible. There's some instances we can't. I know I was on the phone with the DA's office today. We have one that's in-house here that is on a murder charge, and he's got a heart follow-up next week, I believe. So, I mean, there's some things we just can't control. And like I said, I think it's, when we're a facility at 114 is what we supposedly hold, and we're averaging now, we're probably staying around 160 now. We have some, a couple months at that time when we've done it for about 141, right at 140s, and we've been as high as 178. So when you get increases in people, and that cost is going to go up, unfortunately.
So I'm assuming that if there was not a cooperative spirit on the side of the judiciary, that you would tell us that.
Yes.
Okay. And you're not telling us that at this time?
No, we have a really good working relationship. Like I said, it's just a lot of situations, our hands are tied on some of it, and which our insurance kicks in on all that stuff. Once it meets the $20,000 deductible that we have, so the insurance pays past that, but it's a matter of we get $20,000 a person for the deductible kicks in. It doesn't take long to go through a bunch of money really fast.
So, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, But in the budget, you know, there was an amount that was generally associated with food services and medical care for the inmates. That amount is now gonna go up by, let's just say for the sake of the discussion, roughly $300,000.
To finish out this year, yes.
Yeah, so what type of percentage increase is that, is what we had budgeted?
I don't know the actual percentage of that, right offhand. I don't know if it's kind of, it's almost the way I look at it is like vehicle maintenance. You don't know what you're gonna get involved in. Unfortunately, we've had, several people that have been transported to, Hickman County Hospital over here, and they get a helicopter ride to Nashville. And a couple of those, like I said, we do a furlough on those to get them out of custody as much as if we can. And, there's been times where, like I said, they may, and I think Alan can probably testify to this, there's times they beat us back here.
And the only reason I'm asking that is, just as, you know, obviously, when we look at budget, we look at prior year experience.
Yes.
You know, which that's, you know, that's kind of our licking the finger and sticking it up in the air. And so, I'm just trying to figure out how far off we were in the previous budget, in this budget, that would require a $300,000 adjustment.
I mean, I don't remember the actual number, but I know we went up this past budget because of that. But again, like I said, I think, with the numbers recently going up in the jail, and, it's just, it's hard to judge that, like I said.
But there's a direct correlation between the number of people that we have incarcerated and expenses.
Yes.
So maybe just to help us, if you could go back and look, I'm not trying to ask for a lot of extra work, but go back and look at the last 3 or 4 years by quarter and show us that inmate population, so that when we come in here next Monday night to look at this, that we can see that this is more reflective of the fact that we have bad people in jail, and by law, we have to take care of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any questions for the sheriff on his report?
Thank you.
Robert, you're on the agenda, but you don't have anything for cleanup, do you?
No.
Becky, do you have anything at this time, or are you waiting on the meeting after this?
I'll wait for the meeting after.
That brings us to old business, and I don't know of any. Does anybody know of any old business? So that brings us over to new business. And the first one is the mayor, I believe, wants to discuss the EMS station at Pinewood. Been some progress on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Commissioners, I told you that I was gonna make a phone call the day following our discussion on this last time. I did make the phone call, I made several that day, but I got to the bottom of things, and in my hand, I'm holding drawings of the new EMS station. Now, the reason you did not get a copy of these is because there is no fire marshal stamp on it yet. This is what I was emailed today. As soon as I get that little stamp up there with the state fire marshal's indication, we can start demolishing for reconstruction.
Do you have an anticipation of the fire marshal's response?
We were told that he sent it on Friday, so we should have a number, probably, should be by tomorrow, if my calculations are correct, which they may not be, it may be the next day after, but sometime in a 2 or 3 day window is usually when we get a number.
Mr. Mayor, you say demolish. Explain
Not
it.
demolish,
Yeah.
demolition from the inside. To redo the inside, we gotta take some things out in order to do what we need to do inside.
That's demolition.
Maybe,
You said demolish.
we're not knocking it
I
down,
understand, okay, I just wanted,
not by any means.
wanted clarification.
We're just redoing the inside of it.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I know that Eric Lostad had been gracious enough to step up and help with this project, but when you say we are gonna do this, who's we are gonna work on the building?
Eric and I, he's the project manager, and we're gonna sit down with the contractors, as soon as I get a stamp. That's the first thing we're gonna do is sit down with the contractors and let them tell us what exactly it's gonna cost us for each one of them.
I mean, who's the contractors?
Or not contractors, I'm sorry, the people who's gonna do the work.
Who's the people gonna do the work? I mean, I don't, I'm sorry to ask the question, but I'm kind of lost on where we used to be, where we're at now. So who's gonna do the work?
Well, I mean, there's electrical, there's bricklayers, we've reached out to a lot of folks. I know that may not answer your question.
Well, it just going around my mind, because it's just
Okay.
stuff that we've gone through before. That's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
So I'm kind of behind on all of this. Can you tell me what the cost, do we have a budget, do we have can y'all kind of update me on that? Because I wasn't here for all of the other discussions.
I think there's about approximately 146,000, 150,000 left from when we purchased the actual building. And we should come in budget. It may run just a tad over, but it won't be much, so.
And the 146 is what was
Left.
authorized earlier.
Yes, it was all authorized to purchase the building and do what we needed to do on the inside. And the doors have been ordered, by the way. They've been ordered for about 3 weeks now, 2-3 weeks.
Any more questions for the mayor on the EMS?
Good job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And anybody, you can see these anytime you want to. If you want to, I'll email them to you.
The next item is back to you, Pete, on the 9 Mile Ridge.
So, most of the body, I'm sure, remembers the talk or discussion we had about the Highway 7 project, where we were asking to have a half acre of ground in order to be able to go into agreement with the state of Tennessee with a tower built. This is, when we got to looking into the agreements with the state of Tennessee, they realized that 9 Mile Ridge tower site is still shows ownership of Hickman County. And what our ask is tonight is, can we do the same thing that we did at Highway 7 and just, this body, give that property to the 911 board so that we can continue the progress that we've got right now with the state. And I'll try to answer any questions that y'all may have. I also have April, which is the 911 director, here with me tonight. Maybe we can answer y'all's questions.
Well, my question would be to Commissioner Nash, can we do that, or can we recommend that to the full body?
I think that we would have to recommend that to the full body, but if you, Mr. Chairman, may I ask a couple of questions real quick, just so I can get this squared away. Pete, what you're asking for is for the county to convey property that we own to E911, to the 911 board for the purpose of having that tower on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in your narrative leading up to that, you said something about the Highway 7 property. That has not been conveyed yet, but the intention has been there, but that has not been actually conveyed yet, has it?
It was voted on. It hasn't been signed yet. The intention's there, and that's kind of what we want to do just while we're in that process.
But I mean, but as of this moment, that has not been legally conveyed to 911.
It has not been signed yet.
Is that correct?
Well, then,
So, that would probably need to come in front of the legislative body. And we'll make sure that that's on the agenda for this month. And is there any other action that you need from the legislative body in regards to the Highway 7 property? And I'm asking both you and the mayor, because you're both right here. Are y'all ready to convey that?
Yeah, we're ready to turn it over. All we gotta do is have a signature on with the 911.
Okay.
So, county attorney, and that's kind of what this is just looking forward. We can take the same documents that we
Right.
use for the Highway 7 and use that also with the 9 Mile Ridge, conveyancing that, I know it's got a process it has to go through, and I'm just trying to start that process tonight.
Well, I was certainly looking for a copy and paste type of environment on this one.
And
So,
and
okay.
it could be a copy and paste.
Okay. So that's all you need from us next month?
Yes, sir. And is there any other problem?
Not the county.
Well, I do believe that will finish and complete. There won't be any more tower talk right now as far as this whole, it's been busy.
The vote on the Highway 7 property was an intent to convey property to you. Do we have a survey, if we need to know a specific piece of property, and is all that paperwork there for the 9 Mile Ridge property?
We did have a meeting, 911 board had a meeting, and it was voted on, and they, 911 board will be, getting a surveyor, and that will be surveyed. That's the only thing we're waiting on, is the survey and the signature.
Same thing with you on the Highway 7?
Yes, sir. I spoke with April, the director of 911, and their board has agreed to let them survey that half-acre piece that they need for the state.
I don't see how we could, anything other than intent until we have that survey that we know we're talking about a specific, exactly what we're talking about. Any questions, any other questions for Pete on this? Mayor, next item on the agenda, you had on the agenda animal shelter.
I don't think did I put it on there?
What I got come from your office, so.
I think, we wanted to wait till the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Put that to the next meeting. Sorry for the confusion, sir.
That's fine. That brings us
I
to.
got, Danny, got a question for the mayor.
Please.
There's two items, in the animal shelter and EMA, or EMS station at Pinewood. I had asked last meeting if you would be prepared to give us a timeline at our fourth Monday meeting. Will you still?
I still will do that, yes, sir.
Okay. So,
That brings us to the part of the agenda, dealing with the armory. I'll take suggestions on how to do this if anybody's got an opinion. We have two groups wanting to propose this. Rob, you wanna go first? Does anybody have a problem with the veterans going first? I'm assuming it's you that's gonna make the proposal.
That's me.
I don't know if y'all ever received the proposals or not. So I brought them tonight. There was only 8 people here the last time we did it, so unfortunately I only had 8 copies here, if you don't mind sharing. I came prepared with a long dissertation tonight about why we needed this armory, what we had planned for it and everything, but I think that that's counterproductive here in the discussion that's gonna be had. It was a year ago tonight that, long before it was made public or was official, that the veterans came before this board and informed you of the possibility that that armory was going to become available. We made it very clear that night that it was our intention that we would love to have that armory if it did become available. We've had a long time dream in this county, the veterans have. We have approximately $2 million available to us in memorabilia and armaments from veterans here in the county that would love to see that put into an exhibit in a museum. We would love to have that museum here, but we need a building in order to be able to do that. The two primary veterans organizations you have here in this county are the American Legion. The commander was here this evening and he spoke earlier. And you've got the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign War. I'm the former commander of the American Legion, and I'm the senior vice commander of the VFW. Both of those organizations are extremely active here in the community. And all the veterans combined in this community bring in approximately $11 million in hard cash every year. So the veterans are present here. We're not a bunch of fat old guys sitting around in a bar bitching about how the war was. We're active members in the community. There's a group of us that goes out to Attorney Center on a regular basis. We work out there and minister to the veterans that are out there, and because of us, Attorney Center is the very first prison in the state of Tennessee that organized an actual veterans program out there. And it's working. We have approximately 65 veterans that are housed out there in their own building because of us, because of the work we do out there. We're extremely active in the school system here. As a matter of fact, the reason why I'm speaking to you tonight, not Rick Humphrey, is because he's over there at the school right now at their meeting, giving out an award and a big check to one of the students there that earned it through one of our programs. Every year we host a program here that's called the Field of Flags on Memorial Day. Last year we had 426 flags in that field honoring fallen brothers, sisters. This year we're looking at about 440 of them out there. We have 4 ministers in our 2 programs. We have numerous members of the Knights of Pythias and of the Masonic Lodge here in Hickman County, are all veterans. So we are active. We are in need of a building. Our VSO has an office on the square. The office is wonderful for the purpose that it was originally designed for, but we've drastically outgrown that office. And one of the biggest issues in there is that when veterans or veteran spouses come in to see him, they need to have privacy. They need to be able to sit down with him one-on-one and be able to do the paperwork and get the paperwork set out for the support that they need. And unfortunately, because of the way the building is set up and everything, it doesn't offer any of that privacy whatsoever. The Armory has several offices that are upstairs that would accommodate the VSO having a private office. The command element of the American Legion having an office. The command element of the VFW having an office. And enough space up there that we could actually put in the museum that we would love to have up there. There is so much room in that basement down there. You guys have all gone to see it. I understand that many of you went over and toured it and stuff. That could be a community offering that we would be more than happy to manage and be able to share, that if there needs to be an EMA to come in and do some sort of training there or anything else, that it be accommodated. It's not a case where we want to get the building and put a fence up around it and seal it. We want it to be a community building. We support the Boy Scout troop here in the city, and that Boy Scout troop actually met out there until it closed. We'd love to have it back open again and put them back in there where they need to be. In case of emergency, that bottom side down there could hold numerous families down there in case of emergency. We also have a great big the barn out there that could be used for any type of equipment or anything else that needs to be stored or put out there. It doesn't matter really who's in control of it, it's what we do with it. And I'll close with this. We're a 501c19. As a veterans organization, there's a proviso in the state of Tennessee that building can actually be donated to us if we had our county backing. We've been working very closely with Congressman Green's office We've been working very closely with Jody Barrett and Kerry Roberts. As a matter of fact, Kerry Roberts is interceding for us right now on this. He was supposed to give me an update today as to where we stand. Unfortunately, Kerry came down with a very bad virus this weekend. He's at home sick and dead. But the bottom line of it is this: we don't want to just take over a building and have absolute control of it. But we need a place. The two veterans organizations here in this county, as I said before, are members of districts in the Tennessee Command. Those districts have in between 7 and 12 posts in them. Every single one of the counties that surround us, the veterans have their own building. We've been meeting down there at the Homestead Restaurant. You've all seen this for sale sign that's out in front of it. It's not gonna be long before Janet cannot continue because of her health, so she'll either close it or sell it. Either way, we're out of a home. We don't have a place to meet. We need that. We need to have a place where we can get together. And that's why we're looking for it. So, we're willing to work with anybody to be able to get it. And if it's so that the veterans can't have that building, if another building is vacated in order for somebody to take over the building, talk to us about it, we'd love to have it, but we need a building. Thank you. I'll take any questions if you got them.
If I understood correctly, you said that the Veterans Organization brings in roughly $11 million into the community, is that?
That's correct.
And how does that come, and what do you mean by, how does it come, how's the 11?
I personally bring in a little over $6,000 a month into it.
Okay.
It comes in the form
Pensions and those
of compensation paid.
I see.
And veterans pay,
I see.
allowance and everything for
I see.
disability.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. First, I agree, it was about a year ago that first came up, and Rick Humphrey was telling us about it. You know, I said at that time that definitely the veterans, you know, in this county could use all the space and help they get. But I had a couple of questions. One, you mentioned, what is the process for where the government, the county could give it to the veterans or to any organization? And number two, I thought I saw somewhere about for the museum, there's a grant that has to be applied for in a few days.
Yeah, we talked to Jody about that grant. As you know, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but Hohenwald down in Lewis County just got a $500,000 grant for upgrading their museum down there, and that's an annual thing. We'd have to get situated in a building before we could ever apply for it. So that's not the you had another question too.
About the process, you said that the county could actually, and you're working with Green and.
What the deal is on this is that the actual control, it's kind of a complicated thing because it's a federal building under the control of the state. And so in this case here, the feds have given all of the priority of this thing to the state. And so now we're dealing with the head of the National Guard there, and then we're with the procurement group that is in charge of the building. And Kerry, as I said, Kerry is working right now interceding with that to go through the different levels that has to be done on there to do it. Having something from the county, a proclamation or something, saying that the county would support us to have that building. Because of our status, we're connected enough to the military that it allows the military to donate from one military organization to another. And that's how we would fall into that.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Rob?
I'm sorry.
Rob, if there was a mechanism for the county to be the pass-through of this property in the acquisition process, but ultimately it would be to you guys, are y'all willing to take that on, the maintenance, the upkeep, that sort of thing for a facility like that? Or is it something that you would need ongoing support from the county in order to make that happen?
In order for us to maintain it, a building that size and everything, it'd have to be that way. What we'd like to do is.
What way?
To have the county help us with at least the utilities on it and stuff of that nature out there. We're kind of resilient, I'm gonna be honest with you. The city gave us a little over an acre piece of property right there in front of City Hall. It was a blank piece of just weeds out there. And we turned it into a memorial park. The veterans did that. There was not a cent that came from the city, the county, or anybody else. We did that. And so we're kind of resilient that way. But yeah, and realistically saying to you, we can maintain that facility out there on our own? No, that couldn't happen.
And is that because it's just so large? I mean, I'm just
It's so
trying to make.
large, and just the utility cost on it out there would be, probably, and that's what we were talking about. If we can house the VSO out there, that would save you on the rent that you're doing right now, and the utilities and stuff that are being paid on that. Just pay the utilities out there, and that would be compensate for it.
And in your mind's eye, would you anticipate that if we closed the VSO office on the square?
Yes.
And those utilities, we captured all those, and we funded those at the armory, would that be sufficient to support the armory?
Would it be sufficient to support it? I don't know. I don't know what the costs are. Haven't looked at that, so I don't know.
But just from a sheer square footage size, it probably would fall a little bit short.
I'm sure it would. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
guess at it. I don't think it would.
I didn't know if you guys had looked that far.
No.
forward to try to.
We're just trying to get a foot in the door anywhere. We need a building, and that one was something that was available to us, and that's something that we've really put our heart into because it's large enough to hold the museum part of it. And that's something that's big. On that packet that I just gave you right now, like on the last page of that thing, there's a picture there. That's the American Legion, the VSO, and the museum in White County. The population of 29,000. The city there of Sparta only has a population of right at 4,000 people. And this is what they gave to their veterans over there. Not every single one of the veterans' locations have a building of that caliber, but every one of them's got their own building, and we just don't have one. We need it. Thank you. Okay, Bobby again.
I just sort of have a comment that I sort of agree with Keith Nash. It's like probably the way we could do this would be like that pass through. You're talking about a grant for the museum that maybe, next year, be money flowing in, close the VSO office, be a little expense to the county maybe, but as you said, look like, a lot of counties have for the veterans, which we have zero.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
something I'd like to try us to look at, so appreciate it.
And just to put the nail in the coffin on the first thing that was always in everybody's mind is that we want this so we can have a cantina, so we can have drinks and everything else in there. There hasn't been a Legion Hall or anything that's been built, any post out there in the last 10 years that has a cantina in it. The ones that are out there that still have them, they're a real pain in the butt. I'm gonna tell you right now, they wish they didn't, and a lot of them are closing them down. The young veterans that come into the programs with us today, they're not like that at all. They don't like it, and they're trying to be family oriented in these things, support groups. So, thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is you, Robert, which you want to address.
Well,
Pete.
I want to order EMA.
Oh, I keep forgetting about Pete. I'm sorry, Pete.
That's okay, Pete wants to forget about Pete sometimes. So, I did send out in the packet, Ronald, I think I tagged you an email.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so, I'm here to answer any questions that y'all may have. Looking at the proposal, to make this, emergency operations center, for our county, we're looking at all of the, emergency responders in this county, a place that they can come to, they can train, a facility that they can, work in. We're looking at our citizens as far as if there's a disaster, we have a sheltering location that we can, house and shelter, the people. Looking at training facility that we can develop and grow into in this county that will lower ISO ratings. I don't really want to spend a lot of your time here tonight going through piece by piece of this, but just understanding that our current EOC right now If we activate that EOC, it was activated 5 times last week or last month. It's been activated already 3 times or consecutive 3 days. Just the sheer volume of, if we would have had, let's say, the F1, F2 tornado, possibilities that we had coming in this past weekend, we had roughly 30 people sheltering in our EOC at the time. If we would have had to set up a MAC group, a multi-agency coordination center there, we would have had to deal with where would we put the general public when we brought in our stakeholders and our key people to work. We didn't have a JIC area, a joint information center, so we could set that up. We have just simply outgrown our EOC. I am very blessed to have it, but at the same time, there's an opportunity for us to be able to not only have a better EOC with capabilities that we need for growth, but also the possibilities of a training center that's going to help lower the cost for every citizen in this county. That's kind of what I'm looking at in this proposal. I'm going to stop there and just let y'all ask questions.
Okay.
The ISO rating,
Yes, sir.
is the county just have one, and that scale, is that scale 1 to 10, is that how that is? Is that my?
Yeah, it's 1 to 10. It's usually, how it's based out. I've actually got a study attached to the proposal.
Okay. And I just didn't, because I don't understand how all that works. I understand that it lowers, but you've got to study on how much it would go down.
Correct.
Roughly, okay.
Correct. And that's, and understanding this, in order for us to be able to lower these ISO ratings, there's a lot of things that goes into this. One of them being, I was talking with one of the chiefs, and their ISO rating would have went down a complete percentage point just by having a designated training area set up. And when you're looking at like 1 point, you're looking at several dollars for residential insurance cost premiums going down. When you look at it from a business standpoint and you're trying to invite businesses in, you're looking at several $1,000s difference when it comes into what insurance they're going to be paying coming into the county and city for that matter.
That's what I was getting at, if you thought it might drop it a full point or not.
I believe with the training facility and the work that the EOC is doing currently with the Fire Chiefs Association, without question, if we get a training facility in this county, we can lower ISO rating for the entire county.
Yeah.
Dusty?
Hey, I had a conversation with Sarah about a week ago. She's still back there, yes. You're sitting behind Matt, maybe like sitting behind me, And she had indicated that there are funds available through a grant if they can be used to house disaster victims, floods, people have to stay somewhere. Talk a little bit about that. I think she gave me a pretty high number that would be pretty much pay for this thing.
Yes, sir. So the grant and what the part of this proposal is we were, of course, with grants, there's key things that the building has to be used for. It has to meet criterias and things of that nature. One of them being able to utilize this place as a shelter area for people that are displaced in their homes, like if a disaster did hit. That being said, this facility has the large downstairs basement area. It has a kitchen that can be brought back up to make work. And then it also has the facilities areas there that we could set up for a couple day, 3 day, 4 day sheltering project if we had to. So that's part of how that ties back to this money that the grant is. It's 1.9 million. It's not a competition grant, it's money that is coming into the county. It's for Hickman County, so we would be able to request some of those funds go to purchase this building. With that being said, we have to turn in a request by the end of the week, as far as if that's one of the things that we want to propose to use this money for.
Evan?
I've got two questions, one to our mayor if possible. So is there a drop dead date that we've been given? I know there was a thing where it said we just have to tell them that we're interested.
I've already done that.
Yeah, so there's no other pressing date that says, okay, we've got to have this decided by?
Not on that part with the military, on his part, yes.
Okay, so to you, maybe to the
So
veterans.
my pressing part is I need this body to, at least consider this and let me know that we want to look at this as becoming our next operations center. If so, then I can start my paperwork.
So, what I'm hearing, I think, is I assume that these two groups certainly could coexist for sure in the same building. Is that what I'm hearing, that the veterans group and y'all could, or not?
I do not have any qualms at all about the veterans. If they need a place to have a meeting, as far as that goes, by all means, we welcome anybody in the county to come in and have.
But when it comes to the museum, that kind of thing?
The museum piece, I don't think would fit the criteria that we would have to uphold as far as the purpose behind the grant, simply because if we had a museum there and then we had a natural disaster and I needed to bring in a MAC group and a JIC and I started housing citizens in there, then it's gonna be difficult with a museum there as well. But as far as meeting spaces or a place to, whatever they may need in that part, that would be American Legion, veteran, any of the veterans, any organization we have, roughly, I don't know off the top of my head, 12, 13 different groups and organizations right now that use our building.
And the last question, I think you told me not long ago that if you're able to get this grant, it would be enough to cover let's say it's 1.4 to cover that purchase, but any shoring up of the building or any renovations would not come, could not come out of that money. It's just the purchase.
Just to purchase,
And then whatever else needs to be done
yes,
will have to be figured out.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Wiley?
Yes, first, my apologies, that deadline that I thought Rob was speaking about, which I thought was the end of this week for the grant for a museum, was actually your presentation I was thinking about. So you're saying that you'd have to submit this grant by Friday?
The only thing that I have to write this grant and get it turned in by Friday. Does not mean that we're set. The only thing I need from this body tonight is on the idea of we're interested in making or looking at this becoming an EOC. 'Cause, I mean,
That's all I have for now. I'm still thinking. Ideal.
Commissioner Collins?
Well, the question about coexisting got answered. Pete, how much do you see a difference in the cost of the OC that you're in now yearly? Have you looked at that to move it over?
I have, so I don't have all the numbers, and that's why I didn't put them in the packet. I did talk to MLEC. It's gonna be about, from what we are currently paying just in electric on the building, I done a 1-year study, and it's looking like it's gonna average out about $1,800 more per month, just as what was showing on that building. I do wanna say this, I know that's a big number, but I wanna be transparent in it. The reason why that we're not paying the amount in electricity use at the current EOC now is because we have a solar system, that's at the back of the building. It was put in there by TVA. So we're basically paying, nothing to operate our EOC right now with electricity because of the buyback. There's a 12% or 12 cents on the dollar buyback by what Mr. Chesser told me. There is, and my proposal is also to add that to this current building, the current building we're wanting to move to the National Guard building. There's also a program out there that I can get that same solar system set up at that building, which will offset the cost of the electrical. The other thing is, after going through that building, looking at it, every room that's in that building, the heating and cooling on it is all separate. You can shut down one room, not heat and cool it, and heat and cool another. So there's a lot of options out there where we can do some cost savings on electrical. As far as gas usage, I did reach out there, Hassel, he's still trying to get me those numbers, and that's the two biggest expenses of moving from the current EOC to the National Guard building. But the plan is to try to offset those costs.
So, the elephant in the room is can you move there and we got an EOC building that's open for the veterans. I mean, you gotta look at things here, gentlemen. We're looking at a want and we're looking at a need. The want comes from those that put us in a position that we have a need, that we've got the community that we have. These gentlemen gave their life or were willing to give. We got an issue here that every time something turns around, disasters get bigger. That's just the nature of the beast. The only person separating us from Godzilla when he walks ashore is Pete Tibbs. And we've seen him come to shore several times. So whatever you do when you leave here tonight, you need to really consider how you're gonna handle this. The EOC building's sitting up there, paid for by a grant. We pay for everything else. That fits the veterans people. And then what Pete needs is bigger than anything that we could ever build it. And the thing about Hickman County is we've gave away everything that we've got. We got the Levi's building sitting there burning down under the sun. Got one sitting out across the Clark container. Somebody else owns half the square. This is one opportunity for us to come across a piece of property that fits a need that will serve generations. I don't know how we pay for it, but I think it's one of the biggest decisions that we've had coming for us in quite a while that we can agree on that we need to fix both of these problems. Because the veterans, my grandfather was one, he didn't go to the VA, didn't take the privileges that they had for him because he didn't want to fool with the people that were there. I think he would enjoy having these men here that would took care of him and whatever he needed to do. So whatever we decide tonight, it needs to be decided on needs and what we could truly, what we already have. We gotta come up with a way to do this.
Ron, would you?
Yes,
I
sir.
can't see you for that computer screen there.
I'm watching,
Which is
I'm
fine.
watching this on TV right now. Pete, I talked to you a little bit, and you were gonna study it. Is there a way through some of these classes, or the trainings, or the fire trainings, all the trainings and things that could be possible at this building? Is there a way for some of those fees to help offset the cost of the maintenance of it?
There's always possibilities. Looking forward, you know, I really don't wanna speak before I know. But looking forward, if we get a training facility, that will, our EMS, our sheriff's office, our fire departments, all the people can use, in their trainings, there may be some trainings that we can bring in from other counties, agencies might want to use the facility. I don't know as far as if, you know, how we would charge them, if that's what you're asking, or if there's a way that we can make this a moneymaker, so to speak. There's always there's options out there, but I don't know what they are.
A moneymaker would be great, but if we just made it where it didn't eat, it'd be all right.
Yeah. I'm just, you know, balancing out, I don't know. I mean, one of the greatest, things that I know of right now that we can do is, again, the TVA has a program out there that we can set in the solar system similar to what we have at our current EOC that's working great. We're paying basically pennies on the dollar for electricity. That's got a bigger roof, we'll just add more solar power to it, and hopefully that'll offset the cost of solar. Gas usage, again, I'm still waiting on Eric to give me some numbers on that. As far as building maintenance needs, we walked through the facility. I can let Matt, if he wants to speak on it a little bit. Matt's also, we spoke with the mayor. County maintenance will be moving out there with us and utilizing the shop in the back and some office space if this happens. So county maintenance will be moving out there, and he's seen the same thing I've seen very little maintenance needs to the building at all.
I'm going back to the grant. I wish Carla was here, but Mayor, this grant that would have to be submitted by 11th, you're saying it's just telling our interest. I normally do grants, there's like, you have to submit a grant, which is pretty intensive. And so, do you know anything, Mayor, about?
Carla doesn't.
It's not an ordinary grant. They call it a grant, it's part of the CDBG grant. However, it's what they call a /DR. This money was actually set aside for Hickman County for the flooding that we had in Waverly, and I think some of it even went back to 2010, they went back that far. The DR part of it entitles us to use it for flooding projects, and this certain circumstance here, we'll be able to use it because we can house folks if we have to at the EOC building. Whereas now, you know, they had 40 people up there this last week. If it had been any major tornado come through here, myself, the sheriff, all the entities that need to be in that conversation room couldn't have been there. We'd have to put people out of the way just to do what we needed to do. So, but to answer your question, the DR side of that grant, that money is already set aside for Hickman County. I mean, so all we gotta do is tell them what we need it for, and then they okay it. It's unlike, so it's not a standard grant, like the CDBG that we're doing for EMS, it's a whole lot different. There is a long process to that, but the DR grant, there is not.
Right, I guess, going back to a comment earlier, I guess we're kind of in a position where, you know, we got two separate entities, both with avenues to be able to, you know, get this building, depending on which way, if we decide to go the way that the county commission and mayor and I decide we want to go, because we got, you know, the veterans gave a heck of a presentation and reason why, you know, there's a need in Hickman County for more than what we have on the square. And I don't know, I think the veterans would be very willing, they always are, to step up and share anything that need to be shared. So I don't know, that we won't share is something that I have to think about a little bit, because I think there's a need for both organizations in this county. So just my comment, I think that's something we have to think about. You got two great organizations, both need the space, both having an avenue to maybe get it. So how you?
The chairman would like to ask a question. 1.9 million is the grant?
Yes, sir, it's 1.941, I think.
What have you considered to use that grant for other than buying the armory?
So there was talk in our LEPC meetings, about the proposal of possibly cleaning out, some of our waterways and clearing out from under our bridges, building out a flood management plan for the county. And we're still looking to work on building that floodplain management plan and getting all that in place with the remainder of this money that's there. And, you know, cleaning out waterways, cleaning under bridges, those types of things are all things that are needed in this county.
Well, that's that's where I'm coming from on that, Lee, that we're looking at basically $1.9 million of Santa Claus money. If we can come up with a need for it, we can get it. We're not the emergency management people. You are. We have to make the decision, and I would like some good data to make the decision on which way I go on how to spend that. You're asking us to commit to endorse you to spend 1.4 of that 1.9 to buy that armory. I need a better understanding of the alternatives that we could spend that money on. And the other thing is, as I understood your proposal, you're hanging your hat on the fact that you could house people in that building. It's eligible for that grant because you're gonna use it for, emergency housing.
Sheltering.
Could you have used it in 2010?
If we would've had it available, yes.
You could have accessed that building in 2010.
I mean, we made it, so, understand, we made it by in 2010. We had to, use everything we had in the county, to make that happen.
That's not the question, Pete. Was that building accessible in 2010? Alan?
I was working out of that building during the flood. We were using it as a distribution point, and I was taking water.
That big flood never cut that building off?
No, sir, now, there were places we couldn't get to from that building, but,
I understand your question now. So, yes, we could have still accessed, we could have come off 50, to the interstate on that side. We couldn't have come from Centerville, from my current EOC, I couldn't have made it to Centerville either, because the bridge was flooded.
Commissioner Calicut?
Might be a dumb question, but I was not around when the EOC was built with that grant. Was there any time restrictions or anything that it had to house our emergency management?
I did speak with Crystal today. We're trying to get as much information as we can on that. What I do know as of current, the building, as far as the time frame, we fit the time frame. The county would retain it. There may be some stipulations as to what and how we can use that building moving forward, but I do not know what those are being, if any. Right now, there may not be any.
Okay.
So I'm working with Crystal on that to make sure I got all that information.
Devin?
Number one, I agree with Todd, everything that he said. Number two, and just trying to think about different scenarios. So if we have 1.9, could that 1.9 be used to add on to the current EOC building? Could it upgrade that?
No, because of it would cost, and I put that analysis in here, the cost versus being able to purchase that, it wouldn't even come close, because we can't build up there, the only way we can do is build out.
I see.
And we're restricted on how we can build, and then the cost of building, there's no way we could build that size building and have that much room for anywhere near what we can purchase this for.
Did anybody else have their hand up? Unlike Commissioner Nash, I don't have Casey up here helping me keep up with who has to be recognized.
That's the only way I make it through.
So, I want to echo just one more time on this, the grant, the things that I'm looking at, what I need from this body tonight is, we have spoken with the mayor about keeping that door open. What I'm asking is give me the opportunity to write this grant so we can have the option to purchase this for an EOC.
Mr. Mayor?
Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, even if you fill this grant out and this body decides to go another direction, can we just cancel that grant?
I mean, yeah, y'all can tell me no and I can start over again. But I mean, I've
No,
got.
no, what I'm asking is if the okay is given to, yeah, go ahead and do the paperwork, not permission to purchase it, just to do the grant side of it so that you get it in on time. Let's say they come back during the county commission meeting and they vote, no, we're not doing it.
So what-
Can we just write that, just tell them we decided not to do that?
The start process would be that I would have to say we're wanting to use, this money to purchase National Guard building for the purpose of, and that's how it would have to be worded now. And then I'll turn around and say, you know what, changed my mind, we're not doing it.
That'd look real good.
It ain't gonna look good.
Right.
But I mean,
I guess what I'm asking.
we don't lose it.
We're not gonna lose the money.
They have a timeline that we have to get this in.
It's
April the 12th, we have to get the plan in. So I don't think we'll lose it, but we might not get it either. We write it for the same, but we write it for what?
Just a minute, Steve. I got two in front of me. To save Mr. Mitchell some trouble, he keeps raising his hand, wanting to be recognized, and the chair does not choose to recognize him until all the commissioners have had their say. Does anybody object to what the chair wants to do? I see you, Rob, but
I'm good.
customarily, till they slow down, we don't. The next hand I had up was Commissioner Collins.
You offered it to him.
No, it's,
Let's go back to 2010 and your $1.9 million. 2010, we've been fighting this. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. We had crane trucks come in with grapplers that were on every kind of grant there was. Solid waste turned them down, road system turned them down. Could have picked up all this trash out from under every bridge and wiped out Waverly. Same thing happened there. We've been talking about flood management from 2010 flood on, and we haven't done anything yet. I'm not saying we haven't. There ain't no major stuff, so this is another thing added on to that thought that we have been able to push down the road. It's gonna bite us. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying that this has happened. You're not the only one that's talked about it. But what we've been asked for here tonight is something that is on a true timeline, that when it leaves, it's gonna be gone. We apparently pushed everything else down, but this has a timeline that we need to consider.
that's right.
That goes back to what you asked. What are you gonna do about it? Pete realizes that, too. That's why he sees this as an option, that this is the most important thing. I think that he sees that. I'm gonna answer that for him, because I've been in the room with it. When we've turned it down, it wasn't important.
Did we not buy a grapple and a grinder?
Well, we had to take it. Nobody wanted it. Now he's talking about steel. I bet it ain't been used yet.
The grinder is currently, or the chipper is currently at the EOC right now. It's been utilized very little. The grapple is sitting at the highway department. They use it, on occasion for certain things, but, we don't have a debris management plan, nor do we have a floodplain manager in this county. I'm taking classes right now to become your floodplain manager.
Since 2010.
Yeah, since 2010.
That's my point. Guys, we're talking about something that's precious in time. Apparently the other's not. I'm sorry. I get aggravated with this stuff. We've been down this road before.
Devin?
I was just gonna ask if Mr. Mitchell could be recognized, but you've taken care of that.
We did also look at the option of hopefully maybe getting this building donated to us. We did reach out to the state level and speak with them, and with it being the federal handed over to the state and how that comp piece worked there, we were advised that with the situation that it was and the way the state is at this current time, that they would not be donating the building, it would be sold. That if the county wasn't interested in it, that they would put it into private sector. That's why the urgency was to get the county to agree to say, yes, we're interested in it, let's look at it.
if it does pass this committee tonight, it's still gotta go in front of full court. I guess I asked a question instead of making a statement. But that's a statement, right?
We're a committee.
Yeah.
We're not a commission till the fourth Monday of the month.
Correct. I yield.
Mr. Gianna?
I'm still trying to understand the deadline for the grant, and if this money is available, if the deadline is coming up, why are we not, is there not another plan for the money? I mean, what was gonna happen? I guess
There has been plans
Okay.
made through our LEPC. The only deadline we're talking, it's not a spend the money by, this deadline. This is just, we have to get our letter into the state and say, this is one of the things that we're looking at to spend a portion of this money on. We have to get this proposal put in place.
It would seem like to me then that we would have to have that for it, the secondary cause. If this doesn't go through, then we'd have to have something in place. I guess, are you in a position to be able to submit that?
We're gonna,
Otherwise?
yes, we are.
Okay. And that is all gonna be clearing out bridges and, I guess that, it seems like a,
Working with, floodplain management, building a plan, working with, debris management, building out a plan, working with, the possibilities of cleaning our streams, working with cleaning up under our bridges, and also looking at possibilities for, storm shelters in the county. That's the plan that was set out before LEPC.
and looking at your proposal, I mean, you're going from 4 to 6 offices to 20+ offices that are available. No long-term sheltering to 198 people. I responded to Hurricane Andrew in Homestead, Florida in the early 90s. They put us up in schools. I mean, you do what you have to do in emergency situations. That's just what you have to do. So I understand, being prepared, but, when emergency comes along, you also have to use your resources that are currently available and out there. So, and I do also think that there's a lot of those resources that we have here in the county. So I yield just.
The rest of that was like the distribution center, having the loading dock, having the capability to bring in a MAC group. When we had our Pinewood flood, our MAC group and our JIC was set in other parts of the county. When you're pulling a multi-agency group together, if you can keep them under one house, when you're an emergency manager, that's key.
Understood.
That keeps me from having to put in 95 hours a week.
I have Mr. Mayberry, then, Mr. McNair.
We keep calling it a grant, and that might be what it's labeled, but I keep thinking of it as a requisition of funds. The funds are sitting there with our name on it, is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're just requesting these funds. But there's a time we gotta do it, a timeline to put in for it.
We have to have it spent by the 2026. It has to be, all the money has to be spent.
I yield.
Right, I'm just kind of say that Ron had kind of asked my question, I just want to reiterate it, that this is committee. I don't know what we're asking tonight, but I don't think we can authorize out of this committee that tonight. I would wonder if that's something we can approve tonight. So just a question I raised about the procedure, and sort of Steve said, housing and feeding 200 people for a long term. I know we really have some emergencies, but I don't know, do you really believe that we would be housing and feeding people, 200 people for an extended period of time?
I hope not.
I do too, I'm just asking.
But I mean, if it's overnight, we gotta have somewhere to put them. I mean, I truly hope that we never get into a situation where we have to house 200 people for multiple days. But in the event of, we need to be prepared for it if we do.
Like Steve said, we got, it's just a one-time thing. I'm not saying it's not, these are all good ideas, I just kind of spitball on what Steve was mentioning there, so I do.
Well, I've got some questions, and this would be for your group too, Rob, that, I don't know how to do, exactly do this. We're sitting in this building tonight instead of up on the square because of ADA. We're talking about a building that was built in 1970 for the National Guard. Has either group had any studied anything on how ADA compatible that building is? Because the mayor held up a piece of paper a while ago that is as simple as it gets. It took 2 months. And you're talking about a building that was built by the U.S. military out of concrete and steel. And has anybody looked to see if it's ADA compliant? Because most of the uses that I've heard come from the two groups. The Guard in 1970 did not have to be ADA compliant. I don't know if they would now or not. I know everything that y'all are talking about, it would have to be compliant. And that the engineering and execution of that, if I'm gonna make a decision, I think that's some information that somebody will give me.
I did reach out. I do have the blueprints of the building, and there is access to the basement downstairs, wheelchair accessible. There are bathrooms that are accessible in that way. And under an emergency situation, I also did reach out to State Fire Marshal's office. I spoke with them. The sprinkler system will not be an issue. Even if we're housing overnight, we just have to have someone stand fire watch. So I have checked all those boxes. And I have the blueprints if you want to see them. There was just too many to put in. I mean, this was a 30-page packet.
I know the front door is not ADA compliant.
But it has to be accessible into the building, and the downstairs basement is.
How do they get from downstairs to upstairs?
Why would we take them from downstairs to upstairs?
So your plan is anybody downstairs that has to go upstairs, including your personnel, go outside to get upstairs. So you're wanting this building with the upstairs absolutely
In an
not.
emergency situation, we'll get them there if we need them there.
The fire marshal really don't like those answers, Pete. I'm not trying to be obstinate in this. You're asking me to make a decision, and I don't think I should have to go out and get my own information, that y'all need to bring it to me if this is what. You don't go into the bank and say, I want to build a house and have them hire the architect for you. You hire the architect first, then you come in with your proposal. There's a lot of information that I'm looking for that I haven't heard yet.
State Fire Marshal's office, when I talked to him, said that it did not have to be sprinkler. There is access, for wheelchair accessible into the building. The purpose of your question from how do we get them from downstairs to upstairs, I really don't know why we would never need to, but if we did, we would take them outside and bring them in.
And you can get into the upstairs of the building in a wheelchair.
There is an access, if you go around the building to the back, there is ramp access into the upstairs part, if that's what you're asking. There's just no railing there.
Well, again, there's only one urinal hanging in the men's room in there because the second one wasn't ADA compliant. The Pete Tibbs being able to get somebody in a wheelchair into that building is not ADA compliant. There's very specific criteria that you have to meet to be ADA compliant. And has anybody looked at that and done any kind of cost analysis on what it would take to make that building ADA compliant? Your EOC is, and there was a lot of effort to make sure that it was.
There is access to the upstairs, to the downstairs, the bathrooms, all can be accessed by wheelchair. I have not asked the question, what would it take to complete the ADHD compliance into this building? But I have reached out to Fire Marshal's office and all that.
Is that in your wheelhouse, Robert? Are you well versed enough on ADA to look at that building and see how close it is?
I could get close, but I couldn't do it without some
That's how intricate the criteria for ADA is.
I'm not trying to throw it on the box, but there you can probably look at it, tell us if it's pretty good or not. I might be talking
and I don't wanna put Mr. Blasted on the spot, but I think he understands what I'm trying to say, is that that's a big book that you've gotta answer a lot of questions in, and before I commit to get into it, and once we're in there, how do we back out? I can't see me going into this, for all the good reasons that everybody's put there. That's the big question in my mind, how far are we from ADA compliant, because those people will lock the door, and we're in the same situation we are now. And they will lock the door. They were willing to lock the courthouse.
I can get those questions answered for you. I mean, I think it's real close, but my thoughts don't mean anything I can show you on paper. We're real close.
Does anybody else have anything?
I had a question for you. What about the Harville building? We bought it, it's not ADA compliant.
Yeah, I believe it is.
It's upstairs.
We don't use that.
Well, if he's not gonna use it for housing people, what difference does it make? Just a question.
Well, if they're gonna train in there, it will be a public building for all intents and purposes, and the upstairs of the Harville building is not public.
Again, there is access from upstairs and downstairs. You can access, bathrooms can be accessed. I just don't know how close it is. I mean, I'm sure it might need a handrail.
Does anybody have anything else? Does anybody have a problem with Mr. Mitchell if he still wants to speak?
All I wanna say is that our purpose here tonight was to get a building. And to us, the Armory was the building that is the positive for us at the time when we saw it. It's been the one that we've been looking at all along. But there's this need here, and there's the ability for this county to be able to get them in there using this grant money and not having to pay the 1.4. Plus, Mayor, correct me if I'm mistaken here, but there's gonna be an $80,000 kickback on that, right?
60.
How much?
60.
Well, let's push it, we can get it, but yeah, there's a kickback on that, so there's some extra money that is available for this. So what I'm saying to you is this, if that's the case, then if the commission is available and willing to look at it, we would concede our interest in the Armory and go, if you give us the EOC. I mean, we're looking for a building, that's what we want. And then I'm very familiar with the EOC building, and it would meet our needs, so, that's all I'm saying.
The mayor, just for clarification, the kickback gets it to the 1.4. It's 1.47.
It's 1.471, I think. But there's 60,000 knocked off of it due to the county at the time helped purchase that property. And also, there was another $10,000 something on top of it. No, it brings it down to, I think, 1.2 something. No, excuse me, bad on math right now. It's 1.4 is the cost, that's what the military said it cost him. But he also said there's a $60,000 discount because of the county money that went into it when they purchased the property to build it. So it would be 1.4 less 60,000.
Commissioner Knight?
My question is, and I'm having a hard time remembering this, has this committee or the legislative body, the commission, taken any action in regards to this building to date?
I don't think there's been a vote.
Okay. I'm just making sure. We've talked about this for so long, and I'm kind of get lost in the weeds a bit.
Do do you understand what I'm trying to say, Pete? Is that you and the veterans are presenting a concept, not a plan. To the concept, I might can say yes, but that wouldn't hold up once I see the plan. That's coming from a builder who's talked to a lot of bankers, and in essence, that's what I see you're doing right now, is you're talking to the bank, and you didn't bring in a paper.
What, I guess, can you elaborate on what plan you're looking for? I mean, I think I've laid it out pretty plain that we need this in our, this is not a want, this is a need.
And that building that was constructed by the National Guard in 1970 was built exactly what Pete Tibbs needs for an EOC today. And all the engineering and planning we did on the EOC you have now, we could have done it on the napkin.
In 1973, whenever, what I can remember with the plans of this building, the plans and how it was constructed and the way National Guard buildings are built now, yes, they are, basically they're EOC. The state of Tennessee builds these so that they are built out to be an EOC, to be able to house and work and do the things that National Guard does. And it fits, it checks off all the boxes, if that's what you're asking, for an EOC, for future growth.
Calicut?
Not to beat a dead horse, but like the grant, obviously, or the pulling the funds, that's a huge part of this deal. My issue is, I would love to know what that building is gonna cost us in utilities for a year. If there's any large maintenance, I mean, are we gonna have to replace a roof in the next 5 years, things like that. Get an idea on the ADA. And because that's the grant paying for it is great. But we're about to acquire another, if this was to go all the way through, acquire another building that we're gonna have to keep up from now till forevermore. And I understand the need. I'm willing to make a motion for you to proceed with the grant, as long as I can understand that if we get to the end of the month and we don't like those numbers, like if this is going to be a financial money pit for the county, then we're gonna need to step away, let the public, let somebody buy it, put whatever they want to, trucking company, whatever they want to, whatever, whoever wants it. I mean, that's what we've got to figure out. I mean, I need to have an idea of what it's gonna cost us, and because this building, it is old, it is energy inefficient, all of those things. But if you could proceed with the grant knowing that this final decision is not made and we will not cause any problems, I understand it will look bad. I mean, I'm willing to make the motion for you to proceed. But that's the questions that have not been answered tonight that I would have is, what are some future costs? What's it gonna cost to, cause this is gonna be a new building on our, on our expenses. Have an idea, HVAC units, stuff like that. And so there's different costs that we can expect, because it is gonna be a new building. But do you feel like that if we give you a vote of confidence or a vote to proceed and you do apply for that grant and then we get the numbers and this is gonna be a money pit, we've gotta do something different, you think that'll be fine with pulling, if we tell the state, no, we're gonna use those funds for
If we
something?
back out and use the funds somewhere else.
That's exactly right.
We could write two different proposals.
No, we have to do one proposal, but if we end up having to back out, I think that they would let us do an amendment.
Okay.
So we can just do an amendment to the change. We can't do two at the same time.
Sure. Do you understand the questions that have not,
Yes, and I can work with Matt, County Maintenance, I'm working with Matt Chester right now, and I'm working with, Eric Hassel, trying to pull all those numbers together so that we can see that cost analysis, that cost difference of current ELC versus possibilities of new ELC. I should be able to get those numbers, you know, by full board meeting.
Sure. Okay.
On the, to Dusty's point, on the Harbor building, Robert and I met with Bill out there to ascertain the ADA compliancy of the Harbor building. And to the officers that we used, it just required a little signage. I think was the only thing that it required. And there, if you remember, there was a contingency that it's ideal for an elevator should we ever need to use the upstairs for the public. I don't know if that would work here, but you might wanna talk to Robert about having some, Eric can do it if he's willing. Robert has a guy that helps him with inspections that understands the ADA pretty well. He could do it. I can't see me voting for it until that's resolved in some manner.
Well, we'll definitely get a study and look at what it would take, and also, in the emergency world aspect, is it even something that we have to do? But yeah, I mean, I'll work with Robert, and if Eric's willing to, whatever it takes, I mean, we'll get some numbers. We'll see what we have to do there.
Well, the EOC that we have now is used for things that will definitely have to have an ADA compliance certificate, unless you're gonna discontinue those uses in your new building. And just remember, Pete, that there's a lot of distance between wheelchair accessible and ADA compliant. That's two different things. Did you have something on that, Robert? Did you make a motion, or you?
I'm getting ready to. I didn't know if there was gonna be any more discussion. I'll make the motion that our EMA director, proceeds and also reports back with all information.
Did you get the motion, Beth?
I'm writing.
It's seconded by Commissioner Jordan.
Okay.
Will you state that again, please?
Yeah. The motion is for EMA to proceed with applying for the grant. And the second part of that motion is for him to have a report and be able to answer questions at the county court meeting about yearly cost and potential future cost of the building. Roof, HVAC, stuff like that.
Commissioner Nash,
Are we in the discussion portion of this?
discussion of the motion.
So is the motion to recommend to the full county court to approve this, and for, at the next county court meeting, for that information that you're requesting to be available? Or is it for it to come back at the next public safety meeting next month? I guess I'm just trying to get this in my head where we're at.
But I didn't think about that option.
And the only reason Commissioner, the only reason I ask that is because, you know, this is a committee.
Yes.
And I think that it would be okay for this committee to authorize him to go forward and explore some things, but I don't know if this committee can do anything other than make a recommendation to the county court for him to do decisive action.
So are you questioning whether or not that my motion will give them the authority to go pursue the grant?
Yes, sir. On its face, yes.
I mean, I don't know if we can or not. I mean, if it would be my preference, if we had time to kick this around and go, and it would be next month and during this committee. because discussion will go a little bit different committee than it does in full court. But I understand they're under a timeline. I mean, I don't know, do we ask the parliamentarian that?
Already did.
He's sitting right there.
Already asked him 10 minutes ago.
I wrote some things down. Thanks to Wiley kicking me under the table a while ago. I am not amending or saying anything. I want to say this out loud and see if this checks the boxes. And I'm looking to both of y'all for some help. Recommend to bring this to the legislative body for acceptance or rejection. Then, we didn't tell him no. But we told him we was gonna recommend it at full court. How does that sound?
Does that give him the authority to apply for the grant?
No.
And I'm just being perfectly honest with you, this is not I'm not, goodness gracious, Claude, you're the vice chair, but I mean, I'm just looking at, and this is not a turf war, I'm just trying to figure out, usually committees don't have the
Sure.
Committees can recommend to the full body to go take an action. And I'm all in favor for us to take that vote here, that the recommendation. I guess I had the problem as, you know, that next step, which is really the commission's responsibility, is to determine whether or not to act on this committee's recommendation.
Okay, let me ask you this question. This is to the chair of the full body of the county commission. Does the EMA, does our EMA director have to have our permission to apply for a grant?
No.
I would think not. I think that something like that would come from the mayor.
Okay. So no matter if we have a vote here or not, they can apply for the grant or not. Okay. And I guess it's gonna be on what they feel like they need to do.
Yeah, I think it's, if there's a fiduciary responsibility, if there's a match. But in this particular situation, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
Now, to accept the grant, it's the body. You know, if he applies for a grant and we are, let me call it awarded, I think that it's the body's opportunity to accept that grant. And certainly it's the body's responsibility to determine whether we're gonna apply that grant to a purchase of some real property. But that would be my thoughts. I mean, I'm just basing that on historical, what we've done in the past.
The director of EMA is indicating that he agrees with Commissioner Nash.
That is correct.
Can you still request what you did, not in the form of a motion for him to bring that stuff? Or do you wanna wait 30 days, or, you understand my question?
I would love to give Pete Tibbs a barometer of the temperature in the room. That's what I would love to do. That's right, that's what I'm,
If I can enter the discussion, the only issue I have with your motion is that it reports to the full body instead of back to here. And you've been around long enough. I think the best thing that this court has done is, in the past, I've walked in with spending measures laying in front of me that I didn't have for just a minute. Once he does what he does and gets that information, I would feel more comfortable if he came back to this body and presented it instead of presenting it on the fourth Monday where you could immediately have a vote for it. It would give us a little more time to weigh that. Is anything that I'm saying, Pete, gonna be, your deadline is on the application. If you indicated that we were right, you can apply on the mayor's say so. The information that Claude seems to be wanting, and I want, and probably some others too, can you bring that back with some information on the grant a month from tonight? and instead of bringing it to the full body, I'm not trying to amend your motion. I'm just, I like the way we've been doing things as far as I'm going after your 2.5 hour planning meetings, what's going on here, Claude, I can't let you out and do me.
I would like to, retract my motion. I'm gonna make a new motion. And that new motion is, for the Director of EMA, to report back to the Public Safety Committee next month, with more information of maintenance and yearly cost if our EMA is to move, to the old Armory building.
Does the second have a problem with that?
No, I'm like to put something in there to move it forward, but that's understood that if that meets criteria, we can move it forward to the, and I agree, I understand what you're saying about the procedure, but I have no problem with it. I'd like to have a thermometer for the room myself.
Do you want ADA in there too, or no?
Sure, you can put that in there too. He knows if he doesn't bring that information that he's gonna have a rough night, so.
If we're doing this as a barometer, would y'all prefer a roll call vote?
I would.
Okay. Claude Calcott.
Yes.
Wally McNair.
Yes.
Todd Collins.
Yes.
Danny Clark.
No.
Michael Wayne Thomason.
Yes.
Matthew Barnhill.
Yes.
Keith Nash.
No.
Steve Janakis.
Yes.
Dusty Jordan.
Yes.
Ron Mayberry.
Yes.
Devin Pickard.
Yes.
Ron Puckett.
Yes.
Clay Chester.
Yes.
Ricky Murray.
Yes.
12 yes and 2 no.
Does anybody want to change their vote? The vote stands.
Okay.
Did you have something, Todd?
Go along with this, I'd like to put a loan out there, feeler in the room. Got another group sitting here that's asking for I make a motion that we look into what it would take to give the veterans the EOC building. If this all goes in place, then what it would take to do that, if that's possible.
Second. Second.
Seconded by
Wally.
Riley. I'm a little unclear on it.
I'm unclear on what I said.
I
I would like to state that,
Second, whatever the hell we do.
to look at our current situation with the grant that the LC building was built with. Could we, if the LC building comes available, make it available to the veterans? Make that motion.
That would be a question for Krista.
Yeah. If possible, is that what you said on the first time?
Yeah, I just want us to, yes, if possible. We need to know, this was a question that's here, that's why we're here this long, that needs to be looked at, that, you know, we're gonna have this building sitting.
Is your motion directed at the mayor to?
My motion is that we give the EOC building to the veterans if it becomes available. That's my motion.
No, I wasn't trying to.
Is that what you seconded?
We need to, yes, legally.
Is that what you seconded, Wiley?
Absolutely.
Is there any discussion on that?
Because it's committee, that's just going to the full body, I mean, is that what back to the,
I think that if I were to comment on it, I think the motion is way too soon right now because we've not resolved anything on whether or not it's empty. And I don't wanna make a motion to give away a building that we don't know will ever be empty. I think that would be putting undue pressure on this body to make that decision now and have to stand by it what could be 2 months from now. That's my opinion, that's not the chair's opinion, that's Commissioner Clark's opinion.
I thought the vote we took a few minutes ago was to get a temperature of the body.
Pretty much what it is, right? Pretty much what it is.
Any more?
Yeah, I see a little bit of difference in the two. I mean, one of them is seeking more information, more discussion next month. The other one is, I mean, making the, you know, that's what this body's gonna do if, you know, 2 months down the road, whatever, however long it takes. I mean, I ask more, I mean, I gotta have some more information on that before I vote for that. I mean, we gotta hash out a lot before that happens.
Go ahead.
Robert's Rule of Order states that we're just an advisory committee only, if you look it up. This would be just some advice to think about for the next meeting, but it would give you either a vote of confidence or not in the room on where you are committed to the veterans. That's all I'm asking. So, whether you vote on it or not, it's up to you.
Dusty?
I don't think there's anybody sitting up here that is not for the veterans, but we can't give away something that we don't have to give away. You know, we're asking the motion before, if we've got a building available, I mean, if this building's available, let them have it, but we don't have that, we don't know whether we'll have that building empty and whether legally we can transfer it somewhere else or let them use it. So I'm like Claude, I think the motions are different. I understand what you're saying, Todd, and I don't disagree that the veterans.
You're not gonna hurt my feelings. We're not gonna hurt my feelings, I'm ready to go home. We're fighting over things we've fighted over 40 years.
Mr. Mayberry?
In your second motion, did you address if we could legally do that, if there's still strings attached to it from where Pete had it and the grant from there?
Mr. Chairman, I withdraw my motion.
He withdraws the motion. You wanna take the motion and see if you can get a second?
I think we got a pretty good feel right there. I withdraw.
I think we've reached the end of the discussion on the armory for tonight. The next item on the agenda is Mr. Atkinson.
Got some pictures, but I don't know whether I'll pass them around after I say a few things if you wanna look at them. I messed up. We put our codes office in place to protect the people. I missed something pretty bad on the house. And I'm here tonight asking to make it right. There's 9 pillows under a house. House has 20-something. Let me back up. Mayor, the attorney, and the chairman agreed for me to bring this here tonight. I want everybody to understand that. I've got pictures if anybody wants to look at them. 20-something pillows on the house. The lady, she's been the mayor, worked with the mayor. Mayor done a good job, done what he could do with it, but at that time, ridiculous figure. Wasn't it? She's come back. She's done what we asked her to do. Got engineers, went under there, brought me pictures back. If I'd went further enough, I would have never passed it. we started out at 27,000, which that's a ridiculous figure. I think it was 26 to 27 when you had it, wasn't it, Mayor?
Somewhere in that middle.
And talked to her, explained the situation, and talked to the engineer she's using, from codes to what they're wanting her to do. I've come up with a figure of $9,000 should fix it. And she's willing to accept that. I feel comfortable about spending that money out of our contract services, before we have for the cleanup. We'll still have some money left in there, because we got 2 cases going to court, asking for permission to do that. And get this set up.
The reason I suggested Robert come here tonight, so y'all have a week to ruminate on this before the budget committee next week.
Now again, I
No
want y'all
surprise policy.
to understand, I'm not backing up from the responsibility that I screwed up. If we don't make this right, there's no need to put the codes office in place.
Wayne?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that if Mr. Atkinson says that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen. And I make that motion.
Seconded by Mr. Collins.
Question, are we sending this to the budget committee?
That's
Okay.
what it's about.
That's what I thought. I wanna make sure.
Is it going to the budget committee?
We-
Now, the money's there.
It is.
It's sitting in our contract, our office budget.
We get,
And Dan's gonna have to write, I didn't finish this, if I could, I'm sorry, I should have said this. Dan's gonna have to write an agreement, which we've talked about, that she would sign. And I keep saying she, because I've dealt with the lady, I've never seen the other. She would sign, release the county, and say she's gonna deal with her engineers, that she's hard, to do it like she wants it. We won't go back.
There'll not be a second bite at the apple.
No. And then she'll have to give information to Crystal's office, so she can be sent a 1099, just like any other contract.
just a point. So you're saying that the money, that there will not need to be a budget amendment to move the money from one line to another? Okay, okay.
As long as she produces the invoice, we can write her a check, but after she signs the agreement. And Dan, aware of this, he's been, I don't know whether he's talked to the mayor yet, working on the agreement. But the mayor did a great job before. It was just, she was being ridiculous. I hope she's watching. I've already said that to her. But we've worked on it, and right now we're in good standings of what should be done.
So I take it that the motion is to endorse what Robert and the mayor are gonna do.
Yeah.
I guess do a roll call vote on it since it involves that money. If it does and doesn't, we'll do a roll call anyway.
So I just wanna clarify, is this going anywhere other than this committee, or is it,
That'd be it.
okay. Claude Calhoun,
Yes.
Wally McNair,
Yes.
Todd Collins,
Yes.
Danny Clark,
Yes.
Michael Wayne Thomason,
Yes.
Matthew Barnhill,
Yes.
Keith Nash,
Yes.
Steve Janakis.
Yes.
Dusty Jordan.
Yes.
Ron Mayberry.
Yes.
Devin Pickard.
Yes.
Ron Puckett.
Yes.
Clay Chesser.
Yes.
Ricky Murray.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is the magistrates are here to talk to us and, oh,
No, I didn't know they were gonna talk. I didn't know they were gonna speak. I was gonna make a motion to nominate people. Go ahead.
oh, well, that's, I don't know if they need to speak or not, they may or may not, but,
I agree with Dusty.
the chair recognizes Commissioner Jordan.
I would just like to make a motion that we renominate our two masters who served well, Cindy Bowman and Lisa Blythe, to another, what's that, 4-year term? 4-year term.
I'll second.
Commissioner Jordan made the motion, Giannakis. To clarify, one is full-time, one is part-time. Your motion is to rehire them in their current capacity.
Current, yeah. And I know that Todd wants to get home, so that's why I'm gonna do it.
I'll be on Cindy's behalf.
Any discussion on the motion?
Point
Commissioner
of order,
Nash?
Mr. Chairman. Is the motion to recommend to the county commission that they
Well,
be?
it's on the agenda to appoint him tonight, so it probably needs to go to county commission. So that is the motion, but it's on the agenda to appoint tonight, so I appoint him to go to the county commission for full vote. There you go. Does that work, Mr. Chairman?
That sounds great to me.
I promise you ladies, that meeting won't last this long. The motion's on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're to the amended part of the agenda, Mr. Nash.
Boy, do I hate that we brought this one up. The county has surplus property on North Hill Road. We tried to put that up for sale, several months ago. We solicited bids, and the bids that came in were inadequate for us to take any action on it, which was, I think it was appropriate. Since that time, I think the mayor's office, the chairman of the committee, and myself, at a minimum, we've received numerous proposals. We can't accept any of those. I mean, as individuals, we can't accept nothing. So, it kind of got us at least to me, it got it into a bit of a dilemma, as to how to, and those proposals, and even one of them was written, were far in excess of what had been previously discussed. So, the discussion that I'd like to have real quick, is instead of us trying to pick a winner and a loser, we've already declared this property surplus. Would the body be willing to make a recommendation to the full county court that this property will be put up for public auction? In that thought process, I reached out to Mr. Hudgens, David Hudgens, and kind of solicited his thoughts on this. And here's what he had essentially said, is that he would recommend that if we do that, it would be it would be an online auction. It would not be an absolute auction, so that the seller could reserve the right to accept or reject any and/or all bids. That there would be a 10% buyer's, and I am reading this because I couldn't remember that at all. There would be a 10% buyer's premium that will become part of the purchase price. 2% would be offered to the realtor community for any licensed agent or to register their buyer client. But if no agents are involved, all of that 10% buyer's premium would still go back into the county. Hudgens Auctions will not charge Hickman County a commission for this auction event. There would be a necessary advertising expenses somewhere in the vicinity of $1,000, but probably less than $1,000. There's an online posting fee of $250, and he would propose, and this is after we had a long discussion, that the auction date be mid-May, which would allow for us to close it before the end of the fiscal year. So that's just another opportunity, an option for us to dispose of this property that we've already declared as surplus. And again, what we did before didn't work that well. I don't think it brought enough folks in. This would, I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's people who immediately after our meeting that night where we rejected it all, they were back in here saying, let us have it. And so if our objective is to dispose of that property, then it would appear to me that this would be the vehicle for us to do it. It would be fair, it would remove us from that decision-making process, and we can move forward. So with that in mind, I would like to make a motion that we recommend to the full county court to enter into an agreement with Hudgens Auctioneering to auction this, the 22 acres, which has been declared surplus, at that, on an online auction.
I'll second.
Seconded by Gianna. Any discussion on the motion?
Now, you said there were numerous offers and they were significantly higher. How you go?
They were based on the conversation that night.
Yeah.
And there's been at least 3 match or exceed the number we were throwing out there is what we expected. And this makes it real simple.
The online auction would allow the people that are bidding to see where the current bid is, and so these folks who've already come in here and offered more than what we even were discussing that night, not what was being offered, but what we were discussing, then they would have the opportunity to continue to bid against themselves. And at the end of the day, we can reject all bids.
Mr. McNair?
Just a question, is there any stipulation that we put in that auction, or just highest bidder do whatever they want with it, or is there any stipulations to the use?
I think that's probably the one caveat, yes, sir. I don't think that there's, other than we can reject the bids. And so if XYZ company is gonna put a medical incinerator in there, I'm gonna just come up with something stupid. But then that would be part of that, as far as we can get the disclosure, then we could reject any and all bids.
All right, thank you.
But in all fairness, I mean, while you know this, as soon as you sell it to somebody, you lose control. So, and they can do something, so they can turn around and sell it to somebody else.
Steve?
So this would come before the full commission for us to discuss once a high bidder was awarded, or at least won the bid. We would still have to make a decision whether or not to grant it, because it's not absolute.
Mr. Hudgens suggested that instead of it coming before the county commission, that in the contract that we write with him, that it would set up probably the mayor and the chairman of this committee, and maybe one other person named like Casey or the property, that those 3 people would be the body that would accept and or reject, as opposed to coming back before us. Just from a timeliness perspective, and that kind of gets us back to where we were to begin with. We're trying to pick the winners and losers.
Should we define that?
Yeah.
Should we define that?
Well, if we move forward, then there'll be a contract that we can vote on and look at before next month. Yeah. Okay. I just didn't want to ask him to go to the effort to do any of this if the body was not generally in acceptance because of the plan going forward.
Was Dan already, because I think when we talked about the valley, like, there was some things with online auctions and how that all, I guess is, so he'll have to put his 2 cents in and.
Certainly Mr. McElroy will have to wait.
Matthew?
I agree with Mr. Nash, but I think it needs to come to the full committee after the auction's over. But I believe it needs to come back here for us to vote on after final bid, so we got the last say so what it is. I agree with the auction process.
So, I mean, and I'm just, and again, I'm just gonna convey all this information. If the body decides to go do this, the preference would be for that, instead of being a 3-person, whatever, it's just coming for us.
The scheduling of the auction in May could be
Mid-May.
a week before the full body meeting, because I don't think we're gonna have any trouble making a decision on. We didn't have much trouble the other night when those offers came in.
If that's what everybody wants to do, I mean, David was just very insistent that we had this as not as an absolute auction, that we retained that right, so. And I think his concern was, and I'm trying to put words in his mouth, that, the decision-making body only meets once a month, and that, that would be it would be easier if we went ahead and put that up, but I see what you're saying, and I'm fine with that. I just wanted to make sure.
It'll take over 30 days, about anything you bought over cash.
Maybe, I guess maybe we'll make the auction in, right, a week or so before the full county.
Sure.
And David, I'll say this about him, Robert can attest to this, he's real good about going into the zoning office, and when he advertises it correctly. He just sold, or tried to sell a piece of property that was pretty tricky. Any more discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, and so, at this month's county court meeting, we'll get all that together. Okay. The forward fund vote.
I'm 4 minutes short, Claude, but I will take a motion to adjourn. We've reached the end of the agenda. If nobody has any announcements.